space and how many employees are you up to now?
Space is 3,000 square foot, and we have 5 employees right now.
Any niches, any specialties that you've found to be your sweet spot of the business?
Yeah, it's fleet branding, vehicle branding, everything from truck lettering to full vehicle reps. It's about 70% of the business.
Okay. And after 10 years in business, what's your expected volume to be this year?
We'll do just over $1 million this year.
Okay, very good. Ben King is in Minneapolis. Ben, give us a wave. How long have you been a Signworld owner?
Just wrapping up our 3rd year.
Okay. How large is your space and how big is your staff?
We are in the same building that we started. It's 2,060 square feet, and I have 4 full-time employees plus myself.
Okay. You starting to, after a couple of years, starting to find some niches that you're taking deeper into?
I wouldn't say that. We do more of some things, but it's not. We do a lot of lobby signs, a lot of wall graphics, but we are still probably more of a generalist.
Okay. What's your expected volume to end up this year?
We'll do 950.
Very good. Yeah. Don Conklin, give us a wave. Don, you're in where?
Buford, Georgia, which is a suburb of Atlanta.
Okay. How big is your operation now?
I have 15 employees, and when I finish my construction project, we'll be at like 12,500 square feet.
What's your expected volume to be this year?
Well, if I don't know it on December 10th, I should be pretty good. Should be shot, but it's about $3.3 million this year.
What niches have you found to be your sweet spot of business?
Multi-location customers, ones that have multiple branches, both in the Atlanta area and nationally. So multi-state, multi-franchise, multi-tenants, things like that. So commercial property managers and franchisees are my sweet spot.
Very good. For those on the call, if you can mute your phone until we're ready to have you ask questions, *6 will mute. Know that it takes us a couple seconds to hit *6 and come back in again. Let me show you a little short slideshow, and then we'll get started with some questions. Adam, if you can tell me when you can see my desktop, I appreciate it.
Aaron, yep, you got it.
So Signworld is set up as a partnership of owners. We're an owners alliance. We're not a franchise. With that, there are no rules. Each one runs their business differently. Different look and feel to the building, the business model they've created, the culture they've established, processes and procedures they're following and working under, the mix of customers, the mix of products, how they price things. We're helping them build their world instead of them conforming to ours. There are no royalties to pay. One-time payment gives you lifetime support. This is like manufacturing. You're taking raw materials and making a product. There's tangible, visible results of your efforts. You'll start off doing a handful of projects in the first month. Don, in a given month, how many customers do you service now?
We do about 220 orders. It could be about 180 customers.
Okay. Adam, how many projects do you process in a month?
30 or 40.
Okay. And Ben?
About the same, 30 to 40.
Okay. 98% of the signs in the world are indoors. They change all the time. Average life of a sign is 30 days. Right now, a lot of them say Christmas, and then they're going to say January half off, and Valentine's Day. Many signs are inexpensive, made out of banners and plastics and things like that. You're going to start the business with one employee. Before you open, we'll help you find a journeyman sign maker that's made a career out of making signs. It's capable of designing it, printing it, assembling it, installing it. about 2,000 square feet on a rather short 3-year lease. Don, you're now in your second location, or you're in your third location?
I'm in my second location, and we own the building.
Second location, you're growing that out. It was 9,000, and you're adding on to it to make it 12,000.
Yeah, 12,500 will be the end.
And you own the building.
We do.
So the model is to start off renting and then hopefully buying a building along the way, so you're paying off a mortgage instead of just paying rent. In the business part, you can do that. This is business to business. You're not dealing with consumers. You're not dealing with small businesses. The model is to go to bigger and bigger businesses, corporate America. It's a Monday through Friday business. You're closed nights, weekends, and holidays. Have a life. If you follow what we teach, 80% of your money should come from less than 30 customers. Don, how many customers does it take for you to get to 80% of your volume?
Probably about 30 to 35.
Okay. Adam, how about you?
20, 25.
And Ben, at 3 years, how much of your business is becoming repeat business?
About 35% of my orders and about 25% of my revenue.
Okay. But you can see it growing every year, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Every month.
The total investment in Signworld is $210. $155 paid to Signworld, $25 in startup expenses, $30 in working capital. So the $210 is an all-in number. It's not just a doors open number. It's getting you to cash positive. We're really proud of the fact we've been in business almost 32 years now, and we've never had any form of legal action. We've had our challenges, but we always work to make sure that everybody is satisfied and happy. You can get support not only from the corporate staff, but the 340 Signworld owners who consider themselves part of the family. They're willing to drop what they're doing and help you because somebody helped them last week. It's a chance to pay back, and they want your help next week. So by doing that, they live royalty free. What sets us apart is there's no rules, no royalties. There's weekly sales training, and if you follow what we teach, 75-80% of your business can come to your website. Owners don't make signs. You're there to run the business. You're going to know how to make signs, but you're going to have the staff to do the production. And we're the commercial sign company. We are not these retail banner shops you see in the shopping center. You're taking care of the small business customer. We're taking care of the bigger customers. And it's a fun business. Every project is different, so every day is different. A lot of businesses are very repetitious. Along the way, you need to come and join us at a Discovery Day. We hold a Discovery Day once a month, Orange County, California, where we take a tour of locations, show you how varied our operations are. You're going to have a lot of information. The next one of those is day after tomorrow on the 13th. The following one is January 24th. Back in here and bring our panel back in. Mark Kip, I think you signed in first. What question do you want to ask the panel?
Okay. You can hear me, right?
Yep. Go ahead.
For any of you, was there at any point early on where you asked the question internally, what did I get myself into? And at that point, what did you do to get out of that negative mindset?
Adam, what happened 3 months after you opened your doors? Stock market crash in 2008. That was definitely a what did I get myself into moment. So, you know, you persevered and you worked hard. I know Jack called Jack a number of times. He was there for us, supporting us, and we got through it and just grew from there.
Ben, did you have one of those oh crap moments, and how did you deal with it?
I mean, I think you're always going to have those moments when, you know, I joke with people that every other Friday my wife was still getting a corporate paycheck and I wasn't, right? So those every other Fridays initially weren't as great as they used to be, but you then have some success where you land a good client, you land a good project, you get a good review online, and so just like Adam said, you persevere. I tell people a lot, it's like if you've ever had kids, it's the same thing, right? They're 6 months old and you're like, what the hell might I get myself into? But you just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and next thing you know, the next day's better, and the next day's better, and then they're teenagers and you're still thinking, what the hell did I get myself into? So
one that it's 2 years of hell when you open up a new business. And so the first 2 years, actually, I wouldn't say I was worried about this business succeeding, but there were often moments where I didn't know what I was doing or how I was going to do it and things like that. But we had a good plan coming out of the box. We knew what we wanted to do, and we were always going to be successful. So those days where you had to go out and have more than one drink after work, you always knew that you'd wake up the next day and you'd go out and find more customers and generate more business.
So to lead on to that, Adam, if you had to give a bit of advice of what do you need to do to make sure that this works? What are some of those key points that you have to do if you want to make sure that this is a successful business?
I just want to add, I don't remember Don ever just having one drink, but I've had a few with him, so that was a good time. I think this business is perseverance. I think it's stick-to-itiveness, not just, just go. You're not relying on the business they have coming in, but just keeping your eyes on the road ahead. And it's I hate to use the term, but it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. I'd just say those few tips.
Okay. Ben, anything you want to suggest as to what it takes to be successful?
I think, you've hopefully taken the time to write a business plan or to lay out kind of a little bit of your strategy and how you're going to gain business, and whether that's through BNI and Chamber of Commerce, or that's leveraging the web, a combination of all of those things. And then continuing to assess your people and not being afraid to, kind of give your team feedback and then move on if you have a bad employee. That's not unique to the sign business. That's starting any business. I think if you do those couple things, have a plan, and then continue to assess your team, like those are the ways that I found that I was able to get through maybe those leaner months or those moments when I'm like, oh my gosh, is this going to work? And that's how you get, was able to gain success.
Don?
Yeah, I'm not going to add much to that. It's really have a plan, stick to the plan, know you're going to be successful, and work to the plan and measure everything that matters at least. You got to know whether you're on track or not on track. People who are in business, and I ask them how they do it against their budget, and they tell me they don't have a budget, are the people that are going out of business within 2 years. So that's not, that's just other people I run into in Chambers of Commerce that pretty much bears itself out.
I think I'd add to it, you've got to do the homework, make sure that the business model fits you, make sure that you fit the business model. You got to be coachable. If you're out there doing willy-nilly and not willing to come back and say, hey, how can I make this better? You're on your own. You're going to wonder why you bought into a system if you're not going to try and follow the system for its basics. Stay connected to the other owners. I think the biggest asset in the system is these other owners who are willing to help you so that you help them back. Matt, Louie, are you there? Do you have a question?
I do. Can you hear me good?
Yep. Go ahead.
I'm curious on your business mix in terms of locally, how many of your customers are within driving range and how many are, say, out of state? Thank you.
So, Adam, it's not only where the customers are, but where the contact is. So, what percentage of your business, Adam, where the contact initially is probably within 10 miles of where you're located?
That's like 80, for us, like 80%.
And then how far beyond that do those contacts then take you to projects beyond your market?
They will. They'll have other offices or other facilities or other vehicles somewhere across the country. So we get involved with those projects as well.
Okay. And what about you? How far of a radius do you need to reach out to get to 70, 80, 90% of your customers? At least for the contact.
Most of them, I'd say 85-90% of my clients are within the Minneapolis Twin Cities area, so within an hour. Occasionally, we've done work for one here we've done a lot of work for a company here in the Twin Cities, and then they've had us help with other branches, one in Atlanta, one in Chicago. So you're going to do some nationwide things, but I think that initial contact, rarely do you have somebody reach out and connect with you that's from Phoenix and they don't have any connection to you and what you're in my case, my Minneapolis location, but you will occasionally have a client that then you do so well for, and they're like, hey, can you help us with another branch? But it's probably 10%, if that.
Don, you've got customers in all 50 states, but where's the contact for most of them?
95% is the Metro Atlanta area. You can't get national contracts right off the bat. You basically do a really good job for them locally, and then they say, hey, can you help me out in Alabama or Montana or whatever? And that's kind of how that works out. So, 40% of my business now is outside of the state of Georgia from a revenue basis.
But to Don's point, like what I want to reiterate, like you're not ready to project manage or work those out-of-state clients in your first 3, 4, 5 months. You're still trying to figure out what it is that a client needs or what type of client it is. It's later on when you have the experience that Don does and Adam does that you can then kind of manage those projects nationwide, and it's great revenue. But like right away, like if somebody were to call me and say, hey, can you help us out at every Starbucks in the country, it would overwhelm your shop and you would fail.
So you got to manage the growth.
Yeah, one other thing, Jack, I'll add is that when you get to the size and scope of what we're doing, having the Signworld network in place is invaluable. I've probably written checks to over 50 Signworld owners this year alone for installing signs for me in different locations around the country. So,
very good, very good. George S., are you there? Can you give us a last name and ask your question?
Yeah, sure. Appreciate it.
George.
Yeah, Ken.
What's last name?
George Schaff.
Yes. Oh, okay, George. Very good.
Yep. Yeah. So, how did you find your operations person? How difficult was that?
So, Adam, first hire. What did you do to find him, and what helped you there?
Yeah, back then it was Craigslist. We found a lot of good people through Craigslist, and then we had them interviewed by Signworld staff to just give us a real good feel of whether they were the right type of fit, kind of jack of all trades, design, some sign fabrication, and whatnot. And we found somebody within a month, I think within a month on our first hire. That person was with us for 3 years before we decided it was time to make a change.
How much experience did they have when they started with them?
They had 3 years of prior sign making experience.
Okay. Ben King?
I found my first hire through Indeed, and in fact I found most of my hires through Indeed.
And how much experience did the first one have when they started?
The first one probably didn't have as much as I needed her to, but then I was able to grab somebody from another sign shop that I'd met. That other sign shop was was sunsetting their business, so I was able to grab him, and he had about 12 years experience.
John, what about you?
same as Adam, I found him on Craigslist, and Signworld helped me vet him, so it wasn't that difficult to find. And now it's a little bit more difficult because of the economy, but in general, we've been able to find good people.
How much experience did your first one have?
I would say he had about 8 years experience in the industry.
So capable of designing it, printing it, assembling it, installing it, carrying it from beginning to end.
Absolutely.
Duke Ferguson, are you there? Hello, Duke.
Yes, indeed, I am.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I've got a question about equipment. Based on the growth pattern that you've seen over the years you've been in business, how does the equipment you have now differ than the equipment that you started with out of the box?
So let me ask that a couple of different ways. Adam, how long before you bought any more equipment?
So a few more years, picked up another location.
So that's not a major purchase. So how long did it before you brought in the second printer?
6 or 7 years in.
And how much equipment beyond that have you bought other than that second printer?
We just replaced the original laminator. So that's 11 years in.
Okay. So not a lot of the equipment purchase range. Okay.
No.
And King, have you bought anything else additional, substantial?
Yeah, well, I bought a panel saw probably about 6 months in. And then I've obviously, as I've brought on employees, I've brought on workstations. But other than that, I'm continuing to use my original HP printer, graphic plotter, and laminator.
Okay, so you're up close to $1 million still working on technically your original equipment.
Correct.
Okay. Don Conklin, give us a long list of what you've all bought.
Well, it was 2 years in before I bought my. Yeah, it was 2 years in before I bought my next thing, and it was a small table router to get into the ADA sign business. And then as my outsourced partner started to slow down, I brought in house the capabilities of doing things. So I've got 4 printers, 2 lasers, 2 routers, channel bender, 2 laminators, and 2 cutters. And a partridge and a pear tree, probably about, 5 vehicles. So, a few things. I like toys.
Very good. Doug Robinson, are you there? Hello, Doug. We'll try and come back to Doug. Alton Delane. Hello,
Yes, thanks everyone. Can you hear me?
we can hear you. Go ahead.
Great. How long did it take for each of you guys to break even?
So cash on cash, Adam, how long until you were cash positive?
It was that 90 days. 3 months.
How long till you took your first paycheck out of the business?
Well, right after that, things really turned off for the next year and a half. But it was probably that next year. It was at least a year later before I did that.
And that was really economy, the stock market, and what happened, right?
Yeah. And then it was, wasn't consistent right away after that. And then that third year became very consistent. And then since then.
Okay. Ben King, how long until you were cash positive on a month-to-month basis?
I made cash my first couple of months, but then didn't make money for a handful of months. It was probably about 7 months before it was consistent, month after month after month, where I was bringing in money. And then I ran it a little bit differently, just based on my personal situation. I didn't pull money out of the business for probably the first 10 to 11 months.
But could you if you had wanted to?
Yes.
Okay. Don, what was your experience?
We broke even cash on cash, second month in, and took paycheck 6 month in. And so, Jack, I got to ask you the question, since you used to have a Signworld operation. How many months before you broke even?
I was honestly cash positive my first month in business. I took my first paycheck at month 6. Ellen Mois, are you there?
Yes, hi. Very insightful, so thanks again for inviting me, and I appreciate it. Between Adam, Ben, and Don, have you owned franchises before or been independent business owners, or were you in the corporate world?
Adam, what was your background before Signworld? This was your first venture into business.
Yeah, first venture into having my own business. I was in retail operations prior.
So you were an operations guy, you weren't a sales guy? No sales. Okay. Ben King, first business or have a previous business?
No, first business. I was in corporate America. I worked for Target for about 14 years.
Not sales, operations.
Correct.
first business or second business?
First business, I was with the phone company for 25 years in the customer support operations side of the business.
Not sales.
No.
Now, did you gentlemen have a partner, founder? Who did you lean on when you had your doctors in those days and you were questioning your decisions? How did that work for you? And who did you lean on?
Adam, who'd you lean on?
Well, I have Jack's cell phone number, so called Jack and Ken a number of times, and really mostly other owners who have been through it much longer than I had. They've been through this type of thing before, so they had seen it, done it. Great source of help.
And King, who did you lean on?
Heavily on the other owners. So I tell people that when I talk about Signworld, that it's absolutely the strength of the organization, the strength of what you're getting into is that there's 400 plus people that have been through what you're currently going through, and in some aspects you're going to get looped up with a group of people that are about at the same age in business, and they're going through very similar challenges. So those weekly calls are invaluable and continue to be invaluable. We've moved to a bi-weekly, but every other week I'm on with 5 other owners throughout the country talking about things that'll help my business move forward and what they've done, gleaming things off of each other, bouncing off ideas. So it's that association of owners that I leaned on heavily.
With the calendar of webinars and training sessions that we host, Adam, have you been able to attend all of them, or are there more training sessions that you can find time to participate in?
Initially, you find the time because of just how busy or maybe not busy you are, and you're able to get on a lot of those. And then as I've gotten busier, I've also gotten a team, and so my team has jumped on some of those webinars that Signworld continues to host. In fact, my sales rep just put on her calendar for the next channel letter 1, 88 signing one. We've already selling those types of signs, but it's just a chance for her to kind of gain a little bit more information about it. So.
Don, who'd you lean on?
I think it was my buddy Budweiser. A lot. No, I started the business with Teresa's my wife, and she's really the difference maker in the business. So, we had a lot of dinners together where we cried in our drinks. But the Signworld Network organization. It always was there to backstop you, because the biggest thing that happens in the first 2 years that you're in business is really the fact that you don't know what you don't know. You think you know what you don't know, but you really don't know what you don't know. And there are a lot of other people out there that have done it before and can help you out with it and say, yeah, you're thinking right, or what were you thinking? So I would say the network of owners is awesome.
I'm going to start a couple of slideshows in the background. We're going to continue the conversation. These slideshows don't have any audio to them, so I'm just going to show you a couple of different things. The first one is showing you some of the operations inside and out, so you can see how different and diverse they are. The second one is going to show you what is a sign, not only what you're able to make with the original equipment, your in-house production. The second part of that one showing you what you're going to outsource, those more complicated three-dimensional projects. And the third part of that is showing you things you wouldn't even consider a sign. We're putting graphics on staircases, elevators, grain silos, machinery parts, rocket ships, caskets, musical instruments, garbage cans, porta potties. It's endless. The third slideshow is going to show you a little bit of our Wall of Fame, showing you some of the projects, because you start off with smaller stuff and you go into bigger stuff. So we'll continue with conversations while these slideshows go through. Richard Bailey, are you there? Hello, Richard. Let's move on to Valerie. Valerie, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you talk about market saturation and how you deal with competitors across the globe on the internet trying to undercut the market?
Adam, talk about competition. Not only when you did your vetting process to make sure there was room in the market and how you could compete, but also competition now and how that may concern you or not concern you?
Sure. I mean, this marketplace, Philadelphia metro market, when I started, minimally 200 other sign companies in the area. And, most of them are, a lot of them, I'd say, are mom and pop. I don't really worry about any of them. As mom and pop shops, they're not answering the phone. They don't have good service. They don't have a reliable product. So we really just focus on us and doing what we say we're going to do for customers. That's really worked. You mentioned the internet there. The products that we're creating and the services we're offering are custom solutions. So it's not something you're going to you wouldn't find it online for the bulk of what we're doing. So I really am not concerned about that, and don't have much of a concern for my local competition either.
So while the internet is drawing leads to you, Adam, it's not selling it on the internet because there's customization of the project and installation and other things, and it can't just be ordered online. Is that correct?
That is correct, yeah. It's custom and they want hand-holding. They don't want to just try to point and click and order something they're not sure if it's going to be what they need.
And King, what's been your experience? How did you get past the concern of competition in the market? And after opening, how did you find competition? And does it concern you now?
I don't think many of us are going to find that we're opening up our business in a sign desert, right, where there's just not enough sign shops out there. There's a ton of sign shops, but there's even more business. And so I've got a ton of competition around me. But to Adam's point, if you take care of the clients that find you, that you interact with, you're going to find that, A, they keep coming back because they're not going to go out and start over their relationship with another sign company. And also, you're going to find that by having great customer service, meeting your timelines that you share with them, it's going to separate you from some of these others, the competition that you're gonna face. And so, I don't necessarily know if I went into this with knowing everything about my competition, but 3 years in, there isn't a single competitor out there that kind of keeps me up at night.
John, what's your response?
I agree with both guys. The other thing I would tell you is that there's a big difference in that you're going to be a business person opening up a sign company. Your competition is sign people trying to run a business. And it's infinitely more hard to run a business than it is to run a sign company.
So then to ask the question in another way, the limit of the business, competition that you can't get anymore, or what is the limit of the business? Adam, if you had to wanted to grow bigger, what's the limit of the business? What's holding you back? Is it the competition that's restricting you from having more business?
I put it back on me, really. It's my own challenges. What aren't I getting off my plate? When aren't I working in the business? What aren't I doing strategically? Because the business is out there to have.
Ben, what's the limit of the business in your world? Hello, Ben.
Sorry, I was on mute. It is growing it at the right pace and finding the people to grow it at that right pace. I mean, that's it's. And then for me, where I'm at, it's like, okay, what is that niche that I want to get into? Is it installation? Is it channel letters? Is it lobby signs? And so just trying to figure out kind of how do I want to grow it.
Don, what about you? What's the limit of the business? What limits you from growing even bigger?
I think it's just ourselves, right? It's a matter of how big do you want to be? In my situation, Therese and I are in our late 50s, and we're not going to work till we're 80. And we have 2 sons that are in business who will wind up taking this business over from us. So the question we have is, how big can I make it? The limiting factor is, how big can my 2 sons handle once Teresa and I are kind of riding off into the sunset. But we believe $4, $5, $6 million is not out of the question at that point in time.
Okay. Sean Heath, and I'm probably not pronouncing it right. How do you pronounce your last name, Sean?
Yeah, Sean Hype. Nice to meet everybody. My question really is focused around marketing and advertising. What have you guys, what strategies or what things are working well that you guys are doing to market and advertise yourselves? And maybe what hasn't worked? Where have you stumbled that you thought was going to be a great, activity to do to market yourselves, and you found that it had really little, no return?
So Adam, take it not only from what you started in the beginning, but how has that changed and evolved to what do you do for marketing the business now?
Sure. When I first got started, it was a ton of networking, and that would be business associations, chambers of commerce, and things, groups such as BNI. That transitioned rather quickly to the internet, bringing in internet leads, and today that still drives. That's about 70% of new non-referred, non-repeat businesses coming in through the internet today.
So, how many cold call, knock-on stranger stores have you had to make in the 10, 11 years you've been there, Adam?
No, we don't do that. We have not.
So it's not a hard sell business, it's a consultative sell business.
Completely, which works really well for my personality.
Ben, what about you? Early on and now, how has that changed for you?
Yeah, so it actually hasn't changed a ton. So I guess early on I did investigate a little bit about BNI and some of those kind of organic, meetings, growing your network. I found they weren't as effective as just better leveraging Google and my web company. And so that's how I'd say 85% of the business that we get comes from the internet or has come from the internet. We've now started to get, over the last probably year and a half, a lot of referrals from clients that we initially met on the internet, and whether it's their neighbor or their somebody else that they know. And so I 100% agree with what Adam said. It's a consultative business. They're gonna reach out to you, and you know that they're gonna need a sign, and then you're gonna show them what services you can provide. So I leverage the internet to drive probably 85% of my new clients, 80% of my revenue, and 70% of my orders.
So you found, based on your style and who you are, that putting a little bit more energy into the internet was better for you than doing more than it.
100%.
Okay. Don Conklin, what about you, early and now?
Oh, it's all about internet marketing at this point in time. Early on it was networking, anything else like that. I would say that right now, and Jack always gave us good advice, but it was never let a customer be a dead end, right? So 60% of my business is repeat customers, and of the other 40%, half of that is referrals from the existing customers, and the other half of that is the internet leads. So it's a pretty good mix of business, and I did make one cold call, Adam, on a dare from Teresa, and I'm glad to say I have a 100% close rate on the one cold call I did make.
Family member?
No, actually, it was a store next to our grocery store. She dared me to go knock on the door, so I did. What the heck?
Nice.
Ryan Armis, are you there?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. My question is, if you guys could start the business all over again, what would you do differently in terms to expedite your break-even time and the time for when you receive your first salary?
Adam, what would you do differently?
I would just have, if it was available and I would have hopped on the internet bandwagon even sooner than we did.
Well, and back in 08, 09, the internet was really just getting started. It was there, but it was not a commerce as it is today. So, Ben King, what would you do different?
And I got this advice and heard this advice, and I applied it at times, and then at other times it's, if you can hire that person, that next person, the second, the third, the fourth hire, a little bit ahead versus a little bit behind, you're going to grow your business even faster. And I did that with my second hire, but my third and my fourth hire, I got too conservative, and then it got to a point where we were so busy, and I had to hire. I wasn't ahead of it; I was behind it. So don't be afraid to take on that additional risk of a person. If you find the right person and you have the calls coming in, or you have the clients coming in, because that person's going to give you the that additional person or persons are going to give you the bandwidth to do even more revenue.
So hire when the right person's available instead of waiting until you're desperate and hiring who you can find.
Correct.
And knowing that you can't get your economic goal with yourself and one, you got to hire a small team and then keep them busy.
Yep.
Don Conklin, what about you? What advice would you give?
I would have pre-marketed the business earlier. I signed in June, and we opened in September, and I didn't start marketing the business till August. So I probably should have started marketing the business back in June when I signed on. So I lost 2 months of marketing from that standpoint. That's what I would have done differently up front.
And that's something that we try and teach. It's the day you sign a contract. Every hour you're not training build out is to tell the world. Some of the customers are going to wait. You're going to be busy when you open, and the customers who can't wait, other Signworld is going to get wholesale. Roger Doyle, are you there? Hello, Roger. Todd?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and ask your question.
You know what? It looks like Richard just asked it. What resources have been used to develop and maintain the website and social media? How are you guys getting found out there?
So, Adam, you have a website provider that helped you build your website when you first opened, and then you use them to have them optimize your website. Now you do more of it on your own with your staff. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And what advice would you give to new ones doing what they are going to need to do if they're going to get started?
Yeah, I think it's really getting a good provider to really take care of things for you on the site, whether it's building your site out, optimizing it, or getting you paid placement. You want to find a good provider, either one for each or that can handle both.
Ben King, what advice would you give?
I think part of it is, first do a little bit of due diligence, a little research on your own to find that provider. I also think there's a couple of preferred partners that Signworld has that they'll talk about in training as you get signed on, and then there's a ton of other owners out there that are leveraging providers that can they can run a campaign in your city that is concurrent with a campaign in Chicago or Seattle or wherever. So I was able to find a web provider that had worked with a Signworld owner before, and went with them, and they've done great for me.
Don, your experience?
Yeah, I think it's a matter of getting a good provider, and then when we started with the recommendations from Signworld, and then we found someone local. But yeah, it's always keeping it fresh, keeping it updated. Know what you don't know. We outsource everything because, quite frankly, I don't have the time to keep up a website presence and social media presence. So I hire someone to do that for me so that I can go ahead and make signs and collect checks. That's what I do best.
So we've got several website providers that we recommend. We'll let you interview them to pick your favorite. We don't want to control it. using some templates so that it's affordable and timely. They'll build your website, but unlike a franchise website, it'll have your name, your color scheme, your logo. You'll borrow pictures out of a large library so you look like you're competent from day one. But then over time, two things are going to change. One, you're going to take out the canned pictures, put in your own pictures. It's your portfolio. Narrowing the field to the projects you want to take on and avoiding the ones you don't. And then teaching you how to become the dominant player on the internet for those keywords. Todd, I believe you were reading Roger's question. What was your question?
I'm sorry, we were both thinking the same things. It was all related to social media and being found on the internet. Thanks.
Okay, very good. Doug Robinson, are you there? Richard Bailey, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. So this has been a very helpful webinar. It's answered a lot of my questions. I'm at the very beginning of the process of considering becoming an affiliate, and I'm intrigued by the number of the amount of ongoing support that Signworld offers. Your webinars, your conferences, etc. So I'm curious how that fits in with business model, no franchise royalties. I recognize there's an upfront payment being made, but what is, Jack, for you, what is the ongoing incentive for Signworld to continue to provide this support when it appears you're not receiving an ongoing revenue stream from these business partners?
Good question. There's really three questions you're asking. One, how do we make money if we're not charging a royalty? What's our economic model? Two, why are we supporting if there's not a royalty? What's in it for us? And then three, what does support look like? It really boils those three. Right. We make some money in the front end. There's initial payment, and out of that, there's a little room for profit. We feel it's fair. We're only going to charge it once. Right. We then run leaner than a franchise. We have nowhere near the overhead and expenses of a franchise. We don't have the accounting staff tabulating, taking royalties. That's not all profit. That's expensive to do. We don't have the attorneys chasing unpaid royalties. Those attorneys are expensive. Our contract is 6 pages written in English, so our filing fees with states every year is minuscule compared to a franchise filing a thick 150, 300-page attorney-written, customized each state, and rewritten every year document. We save a fortune in attorney fees. We're not enforcing the rule book, so the owners have bought into a peer support system, so we don't have the overhead of those policemen. The owners have bought into peer supporting, so Signworld runs with smaller staff, smaller corporate headquarters, respecting the no royalties. And then with 350 Signworld owners, we sell a lot of equipment every year. We're selling CNC routers, engraving equipment, flatbed printers, channel letter printing equipment, laminators and plotters and printers. So some money in the front, lean in the middle, and equipment on the back end. We're a healthy, solvent company without a royalty. Don't feel sorry for us. I sold a lucrative individual location to buy out the parent company. I saw the economics of it. That's the how question. The why question is we support for three reasons. Number one, we do it because we care. Believe it or not, in today's world, there is some morality. We're making phone calls and emails to Signworld all the time. How are you doing? How can we help? What's new? Why? It's the right thing to do. I'll challenge you to find a franchise where you have access to the president on the weekends. Signworld owners have my phone number. If it can wait till Monday, great, but if they need me on the weekends, I do all I can to be there for them. The second reason we do it is create the validation. You're not going to join Signworld just because you talk to Ken, Dan, or myself. You're going to want to talk to a whole bunch of these guys and say, tell me the truth. Are you getting the support you expected? Our hope is that they say, no, I'm getting more than I expected. Signworld keeps enhancing it. Three, if we don't support you and do all that, you're not going to come back and buy more equipment. So we're doing it to pay it forward, hopefully be ready for the equipment. So we're an anomaly. You can go back to your coach and say, I really like this model. Not sure if I want to be in the sign business. If you got anybody else like them, and they're going to say, Signworld's the only ones that ever figured out how to do it without a royalty. There's a lot of business opportunities out there that'll train you to get you started. They don't hang in there for 30 years and keep going at it. Michelle, do you have a question for us?
No, I don't. I'm late entry. I just noticed that you had a webinar going on today. I wanted more information. spoke to you several months ago. So I'm just like I said, I just noticed that you had one going on today.
Very good. Alton Delane typed in, how do you scale the business beyond the owner's ability? So consultants.
Beyond the consultative sales. I mean, how do you grow the business, beyond your own bandwidth? Have you guys thought about that next tier of sales or sort of closers, if you will?
Okay. So, Adam, beyond you, who else is helping with the sales, marketing of the business?
Both. Well, we're in the process of making some changes, but prior to these changes, both my lead designer and production manager were always helpful as part of the sales process, consultative, whether it was helping talk with the customer or enter quotes in the system, take payments, whatever that was. We're transitioning to having an account rep type of person, again, scripting and documenting and putting in systems for that person who's coming from within.
Ben, how are you expanding the business beyond your bandwidth?
Well, like I said before, and kind of to Adam's point, is you continue to bring on resources, and whether those resources are you're going to bring additional equipment or you're going to bring additional, people. And so I have 4 full-time employees now. My 5th is going to be a full-time installer. My 6th is probably going to, to give myself then 2 kind of sales reps, because I have 1 sales rep now. She's not on commission, but she, it follows up on all leads and reaches out and kind of does that initial selling, whether then I'll get brought in if it's a site survey or whatever. So you're constantly looking for, like where are those pain points within the business. So if somebody, reaches out to you, where are you maybe falling short of getting back to them or not getting the project installed in time, whatever those pain points are. And if you're growing, then that's where you want to fix that pain point. And for me right now, it's installation. And then I think once I fix that, then it's going to slide back into like, how do we close more on the front side? And then when we do that, then the 7th person may be another, graphic designer, another production person, or maybe a CNC router. So it's the beauty of Signworld is that it's not scripted, and you can grow it how you want to grow it. You can grow it how you're comfortable. There's plenty of people out there that don't have 5, 6, 7 employees or as many as Don has. But if you want to grow and get to 5 million like Don, then there's a path to do that as well too.
Don, your response? How many people in your operation are involved in sales and marketing? You're on mute, Don. We can't hear you. You're on mute, Don.
I would say 15. Because everyone, just like in the Marines, your first job is a rifleman, and then whatever you're assigned to do in the Marines. In our organization, anyone that answers the phone can sell something to someone, and no one gets a commission for it. Okay? As far as dedicated salesperson, there's me who handles probably 65-70% of the sales. My son Steven probably sells $750,000 to $1 million a year. And then we have an inside customer service person who's probably doing about $350 to $400. So, everybody's selling. Who's actually putting the orders in the system and pricing and stuff like that? There's basically 3 of us doing that for the most part.
Richard typed in the question about web costs, and in the startup expense budget, there's monies allocated for that. And then on the ongoing basis, we recommend a budget of $1,500 to $2,500 for internet marketing costs. Alton typed in, Adam, do you enjoy sales? Because you weren't a salesman before, and how can you enjoy sales if you weren't a salesman before? And then how much of your time is out of the office?
So the first part of the question is, I enjoy the sales. It's helping people. It's consultative. It's not a hard sell. I'm helping them with solutions, and we actually were helping them grow their business, and so that it makes us feel good. It makes me feel good. that I'm actually selling something that can help somebody in their life and their business. It's a great feeling. In and out of the office, it used to be reversed. Nowadays, I'm probably in 80% of the time, out 20%. But it was reversed in the beginning with all the networking or being out and visiting people.
Okay. Ben, you weren't a salesman. Do you enjoy sales? Or do you even call it sales?
Yeah, I wouldn't. I did. Like Adam says, you're consulting. You're helping people either get their business up off the ground or expand into a new location, or they're doing a remodel and they need additional signage, and you're there to help. So that part of it's really cool. I don't look at it as sales. If you do look at it like sales, you're the owner, and so some of that profit's going to go into your bottom line. So that's always exciting when you land the big fish. And what was the other part? The
percentage of time in the office, percentage of time out.
It varies for me. I would say it's probably 50-50. I'm out visiting clients or doing, meeting with somebody, site surveys, and then some weeks it's 80-20 that I'm in. Because being as the size that I am, I'm always looking at where's that pain point within the shop. And so some days we've got to make sure that we get this produced and out the door. And some other days it's like, hey, we've got to, my sales rep is like, you got 3 site surveys. So it varies a little bit. It's one of the things that I enjoy about it. It's not Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 in a queue behind a desk on the phone. It's every day is a little bit different.
Don, what about you?
I would say 30% of the time I'm out of the office. Most mornings I'm out of the office. Most afternoons I'm in. And, I would say I enjoy it, but, I'll go back to what Denise Wolf says, and she says it so well. She goes, I'm not selling, I'm just making friends. And I think that's pretty much what it is, because a lot of our customers are great friends of ours now because we help them in their business. We help their business become successful by helping them brand. So,
Signworld has a recommended number for setting aside working capital. Adam, was that the right number for you? Did you need substantially more than that, or were those numbers reasonable?
I think your number was different back then.
It was less,
right? Right. Yeah, so I had your number was different. I had put in an additional 20 when the lights turned out really in 2008.
Okay, so based on current numbers, pretty close to what it would have been. Okay.
Yeah.
Ben King, what about you? Was the working capital numbers reasonable, or did you feel that you needed a lot more?
I would say a lot more. I did at one point need to get my hands on a little bit more, and not because I wasn't bringing in the orders. It was just you're going to land some clients, like you're going to land a construction guy that it's a huge ADA project, and they're like, yep, it's a PO, and you're going to get paid when the project's all done, and they're not going to give you a down payment, but your vendors or your suppliers are going to need paid up, even before you've gotten paid. And so having the ability to get your hands on a little bit of liquidity there, because you ultimately are going to make a lot of money off that project, right? And so, we've got one going right now that I've paid everybody, and the construction company owes me $55,000. And so, a lot of that was profit, but that all of my suppliers needed to be paid, my installers needed to be paid, my electricity bill needed to be paid. And I haven't gotten paid yet from the construction company. I'm going to. I'm not worried about it. It's just that's part of growing a business.
So the working capital wasn't an issue from the standpoint of expenses. It was a choice of certain products where you didn't collect a normal deposit up front. You had a cash flow.
Well, and some of that, again, Jack, you talked about like having a website that makes you look competent from day one. You've got a website that shows that you can do these types of signs. Somebody reaches out to you and says, hey, I want, can you do this project for me? You want to land that project. You want to land that client. But then you land the client, you do all the bidding, and then they say like, here's your PO. At that point, you're not going to want to back out of that project when you've seen the numbers and where they're going to shake out. So yes, it was just a matter of kind of some of the jobs that we had taken on.
Okay, and Don, how about you? Was working capital adequate, or did you feel that?
Yeah, it was more than enough. I never actually dipped into all of it.
Okay. A couple couple more questions here, and then we're going to have to break because we want to let you owners get back to your busy day. Richard asks, do you see your current business focus evolving in the near future, such as increased digital signage requirements and corresponding media management? Adam, do you see a lot of change in the direction you're going to go?
No, I mean, there's more than enough vehicles out there. That's not changing. So for our business, between vehicles and interiors, office space, we're fine.
Okay. Well, Ben, what about you?
I think that there may come a time when I hone in on one or two types of signs, but right now we're going to continue to grow it the way we have been, which is chasing new clients and helping them in any way we can, and whether that's a combination of in-house and outsourced projects, so be it.
Yeah, Don, other than more franchises, more property managers, any change in your focus?
Not really. We're continuing to grow in those different areas. That's where our sweet spot is.
One last question for the three of you. You had your coach show you different choices, different options. Why was Signworld your choice? Adam?
No rules, with a system of success, and the owner's network. I mean, that did it for me. I mean, let me just add to that. It gave me back time that I didn't have in corporate life right from the very beginning. Just never missing anything with my kids as they've grown. So that's been fantastic as well.
And why Signworld?
Because it's business to business. Very rarely are you doing business to consumer, and if you are, it's because you like the consumer and you're going to take care of them, and you're not having to take on them. I love that. I love the fact that it's 9 to 5 on Monday through Friday. It shuts off. I came from corporate and corporate retail, so we were 365 days a year worrying about something, and that grew tiresome. And I do like the fact that you have the autonomy to grow your business how you want to, but the support of 400 owners in Signworld headquarters to kind of help you figure out how you want to do that and how you can do that. So it's not a startup where you're out doing it off of card tables in somebody's garage and trying to figure out where your capital is going to come from. And it's not a franchise that handcuffs you and takes 8% of your revenue for the rest of your life.
Don, your thoughts?
It was the only one that Teresa would say yes to, is the real reason. And if you'd ask her the question why, she'd say it seemed like the least risky proposition, because even if you're going out of business, you're going out of business sign. Everybody in business needs signage, and it's not like you have to create a demand like if you're a travel agent or a financial planner or something like that. People need to have signs, have their business noticed and branded. So to her, it was the least risky of everything that I was looking at from that standpoint.
One last short question. Adam, what kind of net margins are you running on? What's the net bottom line these days?
That's about 27% right now.
27%. Okay. Ben, what kind of nets are you running?
26.5. I just got my November year to date, so 26.5.
Very good. And Don?
26.5, 27%.
Very good. Excellent. We're going to let you guys get back to work. We appreciate the time you've devoted today. For those of you on the call, thank you for joining us. Hope it's been helpful for you. Get back to Dan, Ken, or myself and have more conversations, talking to other Signworld owners. As we mentioned, we have a Discovery Day on Friday the 13th. Following one is Friday, January 24th. Next webinar like this will be on January 15th. And in the meantime, we hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful holiday season. Thanks, everybody.
All right.